and take the best players that we see from all of these different teams that have entered today.
You know, we're out here and we're looking at talent. We're helping with this programme, try and select 11 players who have an opportunity to be in football and make a career out.
It will soon be made available for small and medium-sized enterprises in Cameroon. An agreement to that effect was concluded today by the Minister of Finance, Louis-Paul Moutaze, and the Director General of the BGFI Bank, Abakal Mohammed. As Luma Slim Davis reports, the funds will be used to support the small business ventures that have been badly hit by the coronavirus pandemic.
Discussions at the audience between the Minister of Finance, Louis-Paul Moutaze, and the Director General of the BGFI Bank, Cameroon, Abakal Mohammed, centered on formalizing a protocol accord on supporting small-sized enterprises.
We want to take advantage of what the bank has brought to the government. You know, the crisis we are facing right now, it has been a crisis on the health sector. But everybody can understand that we are embarking in an economic and financial crisis. And the head of state is expecting from us to have a recovery plan so as to see how we can boost our economic sector.
The BGFI Bank has programmed 10 billion CFA francs to finance small and medium-sized enterprises to boost their activities, accompanied by the technical support of the Ministry of Finance.
In economic news, the execution rate of the public investment budget for the first half of 2020 stands at 40.26%. This, economic experts say, is understandable given the impact of COVID-19 on the implementation of projects. While government is striving that priority state programs attain a satisfactory level, there are calls for a proper mastery of the public contract procedures. Clarice Array-Takang expounds on what has been done so far.
Economists hold that three issues, if well handled, will guarantee a good execution of the public investment budget. They are anchored on project maturity, public contracts, and follow-up. In the first half of 2020, though, these did not produce satisfactory results for the accomplishment of the public investment budget, which fell short of that achieved at the same period in the last 2 years. Understandably so, analysts maintain, as this performance is largely attributed to security and the prevailing public health crisis. An unfavorable atmosphere for projects to thrive, officials explain. Regions hard hit by the pandemic are amongst the weak cases. Strategies put in place in 2016 are nevertheless hailed as having contributed to push the right buttons. They include less delays in the execution and the mastery of procedures. The 2020 public investment budget was brought down from 1,496.3 billion CFA francs after the state budget was revised in response to the socio-economic impact of COVID-19. As signs of the virus being brought under control bring hope, many expect to see the execution of public projects resume across the country.
In order to fully execute projects outlined in the public investment budget voted in Parliament, it is imperative that the powers that be carry out a systematic inspection on the field to ensure that contractors respect the terms of reference and the stipulated deadlines. The fight against corruption in the award of contracts will also contribute to an increase in the current 40.62% execution rate. Ewan Epole reports on the best practices that are vital.
The mid-term execution of the public investment budget for the current year, estimated at 40.62%, experienced difficulties linked to the contracting of projects with insufficient ownership of the contracting procedures by the heads of municipal executives.
We were awarded 12 projects, and so far 5 of them have been completed. The Fumoto Park, the work is on the way, and surely the work will be completed in time.
In order to complete works on abandoned construction sites, economic experts advise stakeholders to redouble efforts.
To ensure a good percentage, we have to notice that there are certain projects that will not be implemented because they were not mature. In order to catch up, make sure that the population is involved in the execution of those projects by reducing the impact of the corruption.
In this light, municipal authorities have assured frank collaboration with the state engineers in the realization of projects by the end of the fiscal year.
Committee of Central African States Commission have taken the oath of office in the presence of the chairperson of ECA's Gabonese President, His Excellency Ali Bongo Ondimba. With the entry into force of the instrument establishing the Commission, regional integration and development will thus be intensified. As we hear this report by Caroline Okie-Anoma.
Swearing in the team of well-experienced members of the Commission in Regional Integration who rank from chairperson, vice chairperson to heads of commission, Ali Bongo, dedicated chairperson of ECAS, underscored the core principles that will undergird their sterling performance, namely teamwork in applying ECAS decision, which is in lockstep with the legal instruments governing ECAS community, good governance and transparency in management of resources, combating corruption and all forms of conflict of interest, promoting peace and security within the sub-region, without which there can be no sustainable development, are some of the challenges in a nutshell, the Gabonese president reminded the commissioners. Ensuring them of the full support of the Assembly of ECAS heads of states in the discharge of their duties in promoting regional integration and fostering cooperation within the member states, he said they are duty-bound to produce results because this is a time for action. In return, the members swore to discharge their duties faithfully in all conscience and discretion, as well as not to solicit or receive any instructions from an ECAS member state or non-member state.
In politics, the People's Movement for Dialogue and Reconciliation, PMDR, decries what it terms as a smear campaign against the country's defense and security forces by some ill-intentioned persons. The party's national president, Professor Shanda Tonme, at a press briefing today in Yaoundé, condemned calls for public protests and civil disobedience from some political parties. Here's an excerpt of his declaration.
We are very much critical of political parties who say they are boycotting election for so and so on. The coming election, we are sure we're going to have a lot of people coming from other parties who are being either deceived and so on. They will be looking for a party to carry out their ambitions. We're saying we are ready. We're going to be ready for that. You want to call attention abroad by saying Cameroonian security forces are all bad, they are not good and so on, they are committing genocide in Cameroon, which is not the case. And we say, please, calm down and tell the truth.
In other news, 50 million Save Friends has been raised to support underprivileged children from the East region as they prepare to resume school. The benefactor is a non-governmental organization known as Hope for East Cameroon, whose objective is to alleviate the plight of the needy and to contribute to the development of their region of origin. Colette Jani reports that the funds were raised at a dinner in Yaoundé.
Enterprises, business owners and men of goodwill were present at the gala night in Yaoundé to raise funds for needy children of the East region of Cameroon. For the seventh time, they supported a cause championed by an NGO, Hope for East Cameroon, which they believe is important for the development of the country.
During 7 years, we have already built around 25 school classrooms.
For this seventh edition, the funds will be directed to the construction of more classrooms in the Kadei and the Opanyong divisions of the East region.
We are very proud of ourselves because we are taking care about more than 100 kids every year, giving school fees for new children and everything around. But also we are helping those families who didn't think about a better future.
The night was graced with performances of some Cameroonian artists who drew the audience to some good music.
Over 50 youth in Bakoko, a locality in the Douala 3 subdivision, can now produce locally made face masks and hydroalcoholic solutions. They were trained by an electricity production company to help stall the spread of the coronavirus, an initiative lauded by the population, as Alphonse Abogwa reports.
There are 50 youths from the Bakoko clan with little or no knowledge about tailoring or needlework. The electricity production company implanted in their land through its corporate social responsibility says they need these skills to be ambassadors for the fight against the coronavirus.
We taught them how to use the machine, sew a mask, so they can produce a mask now.
It is an initiative that will contribute significantly to reduce the pandemic, even within the company.
We want that our actions can help population surround the plant, and beyond those people, we can be sure that even our people, our workers who are coming to the plant are also protected.
Close to 600 face masks have already been distributed by the company to limit the spread of the virus. The workshop to train the youth brought together administrative, municipal and traditional authorities of the subdivision.
The wearing of face masks in public places will be mandatory until further notice.
The Ministry of Public Health has decentralized the use of the toll-free number 1510, which Cameroonians have been using for the last 6 months to get information on the coronavirus. An average of 15,000 calls are received daily at the Public Health Emergency Operations Center. What does the decentralization process entail? Baldwin Sama provides answers with his guest, Simon Ezeonu. Hello, Baldwin.
Good evening to you, Esther Kiman. Welcome. Actually, where I find myself, we call it the call center for this Public Health Emergency Operations Center. And these young Cameroonians you see behind me for the last 6 months are the ones who have been receiving calls on the toll-free number 1510 from different Cameroonians who are so anxious to know exactly what they need to know about the spread of COVID-19 in Cameroon. And as you rightly said, on a daily basis, they receive between 12,000 to 15,000 calls from these Cameroonians who want to know more about the coronavirus, and that is why the Ministry of Public Health thought it wise to decentralize this toll-free number 1510 to make it accessible to Cameroonians in the 10 different regions of the country. And that is what we shall be discussing tonight with Simon Ezeonu, who is a mental health specialist, who will be giving us more details as concerns this decentralization process. Good evening, Simon.
Good evening, very Sama.
Decentralizing the toll-free number 1510, what exactly does it mean?
Decentralization is an action to put an end to centralization. So at the beginning, we noticed the massive need of toll-free 1510 demanded by the population. So between 12 and 15,000 calls per day was received at the call center here in Yaoundé. So the government thought it wise to decentralize the toll-free call 1510 in all the 10 regions.
And what is going to change, talking about this decentralization process per se?
But we want to say that since the decentralization has been adopted by the government of the Republic, it allows us to obtain satisfactory results. That is to say, the toll-free call 1510 is now responding in all the 10 regions of our country.
Thank you so much, Simon Ezeonu. You're a mental health specialist, for giving us those details. And just to be specific, for those watching us this evening, for example, if you're watching us from Balinyonga in the northwest region, or from Osing in the Manu in the southwest region of Cameroon, you dial the toll-free number 1510. You will not fall directly with those who are working here in this call center where we find ourselves. There are those who will respond, give you adequate answers in the northwest or in the southwest region of Cameroon. They will give you answers precisely in the region where you find ourselves, and the Ministry of Public Health is using this opportunity to thank her partners such as the Ministry of Post and Telecommunications and the Telecommunications Regulatory Boards. They have been working hand in gloves to ensure that this toll-free number 1510 goes on smoothly for the last 6 months. Back to you, Esther Kmer.
To Public Health for bringing the toll-free number 1510 closer to the population. On to this editorial. The Crtv and Libe branches of the National Port Authority are now operational. The branches were officially opened in separate ceremonies in Libe and in Crtv with a mission to give visibility to the port and to render its activities competitive. Cyril Nwazeke has the details.
Beginning of activities by the Crtv Seaport in 2018, the National Port Authority's coordination was until now piloted from different headquarters. With a new branch now in the heart of port activities, much is expected.
People will no longer leave Crtv to solve their problems in Yaoundé. Problems will be solved here because we want this port to be competitive. And as I earlier said, the government policy is to have a hub here in Cameroon for the West and Central Africa.
Giving visibility to the ports sector through port clearing planning, ensuring competitiveness of the port sector through reduction in port passage and delays are some of the missions of this organ. A similar ceremony also took place in the Kmer neighborhood in Limbe, where another giant project for the construction of a port is well on course after recent decrees signed by the President of the Republic, His Excellency Paul Biya.
Work in close collaboration with the Ports Authority in Limbe and the other maritime operators so that this port become a very, very competitive port.
By and large, these two new babies of the National Port Authority, one in Crtv and the other in Limbe, all in Cameroon, will go a long way to render more competitive ports in Cameroon and solve the numerous problems of clearing of goods and delays already been decried by users at the Crtv Seaport.
Our discovery slot tonight takes us to the third largest of the 10 regions of Cameroon. The Adamawa, in the rugged and sparsely populated region, is the Idol village, some 105 kilometers southeast of Mbere division. It stands out for its architecture, greenery and cleanliness. Its thatch houses and eucalyptus trees lure tourists who can also enjoy fresh cow milk. Salas Quine is a guide to the village.
Idol is notable for its cleanliness, urban planning, appealing architecture, and serene greenery. Located about 105 kilometers southeast Ngaoundéré, the village stands proudly against dirtiness and disorganization. The eucalyptus trees planted throughout the village and well spaced, as well as its wide roads, offer some spectacular scenic view. There is also a mosque. There is a health center and educational establishments. Each person living in Idol under the customary chief and spiritual guide, His Majesty Muhammad Haman, is responsible for this cleanliness in the village, which is one of Adamawa's top tourist destination site, with residents offering their room for stay. Its grass roof houses will surely catch the attention of the eyes. This place also offers immense peace and a fresh air to breathe. And in the times when people have got so busy that they can't spend a moment in noisy areas, Idol village can be the best for finding your inner self and also spend a quality time with the family.
From our discovery to sports, Cameroon's intermediate lions are expected to begin training for the upcoming African Nations Championship, with the first phase of the 14-day camp starting on September 15. However, all the pre-selected players are part of the Elite One Championship yet to be scheduled. Baldwin Sama now probes into the selection procedure and how the head coach Yves Clement Aroga intends to juggle between the two.
By calling to camp 30 players, Yves Clement Aroga relied on their present form and each player's talents.
All those players were with us last camp, so that those players we call again, and some of them lost their place because they were not working individually.
His intention is to build a solid squad ahead of the African Nations Championship, despite the fact that the championship is yet to kickstart in Cameroon.
We are going to work. We have some programs where we are going to work very hard to try to have the good team. We have a lot of players we are looking now, so sometimes if some players go out, we are going to find another.
Difficult it may be to build a solid team, as Coach Aroga may lose some of his players before the competition begins, who may have gone for greener pastures.
And that report brings us to the end of the 7:30 news, in which you heard that 15,077 potential voters have been registered on the electoral roll of Elections Cameroon as it renews the 2020 voters list. More news comes up at 8:30 p.m. with Romeo Chwisa. Stay tuned to our programs on the Crtv. Stay protected from the coronavirus. Good night. Thanks for watching.
In this connection, we should avoid stigmatizing